Namaste students. After the poetry section, which we have done the first poetry, My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das, today we'll start with the prose section, that is the first chapter from Flamingo, the last lesson. Writer is Alphonse Daudet. He was a French novelist, a short story writer, a playwright and a poet. He was born on 13th May 1840 and he died on 16th December 1897. In the initial years, he was a school teacher, but later on, to earn his livelihood, he has changed the profession from a school teacher to journalist. And then later on, he started writing the stories or his novels, poems. So this particular chapter, the last lesson, is set during the Franco-Prussian War, which took place between 19th July 1870 to 28th January 1871. If you just calculate the duration, it takes approximately 6 months, 1 week and 2 days. And in this war, in this Franco-Prussian War, France was defeated by Prussia, led by Bismarck. If you remember the past, if you remember the history which you have learned in your 9th or 10th standard classes, France was defeated and two districts of France, that is Alsace and Lorraine, it was annexed by Germany. And this story is about that incident. Of course, what human plight, the people or human plight they go through is not written in history. It is only understood through literature. If you remember the last year's lesson, in your 11th standard you have a lesson, The Address. You remember the girl who was a Jew. They went hiding. She was separated from her parents. All the precious things, if you remember, were given to Mrs. S. Even if you go to your 10th standard, Two Gentlemen of Verona. Now, what people go through, we come to know only through literature. So this particular lesson is a beautiful lesson which speaks about the pain inflicted on the territory of certain people, the pain inflicted on the people of one particular territory by the conquerors, where they were forced or their rights to speak their own language, to learn their own language was taken away. A very beautiful story. Maybe he has got his experience because he was a school teacher. The psychology a child goes through, he has depicted in this story. It also speaks about the general human tendency. We take everything for granted. When we have those things, we take it for granted, and then we realize the importance of it when we are at a verge to lose it. At the same time, it also speaks about postponing things. Let's do the thing tomorrow. So even in this story, they are postponing the learning of their own language to tomorrow, and then they realize when they are conquered by their conquerors, then they realize when they are forced by their conquerors to speak their language, they realize, oh, what great loss is it this for us. It also speaks about teacher and students' attitude towards learning and teaching. So let's see. I want you to have the textbook in your hand. I'll go paragraph wise. I'll explain you in detail. You have to listen and go through it. Okay? So I started for school very late that morning and was in dread of a scolding. In great dread means what actually? Fear of anticipation. Now what is the fear? He is scared that yes, he is about to get scolded. Especially when M. Hamel had said that he would question us on participles. If you remember participles are nothing else but verb forms. So this particular small boy, he is scared to go to school. Why? Because he was told by his sir or told by his teacher that next day he will ask about participles, and this boy has not done the homework, has not done the preparation, and so he started late for school because he is not willing to go to school. Okay? And I did not know the first word about them. This shows he has not prepared. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. It's quite natural. When you have certain things which attracts to school, nowadays schools are more attractive. You have they use all technologies. You have beautiful walls painted in the school. You have your friends over there, so you feel like going to school. But this small child was not prepared, especially when exam is there, you don't feel like going to school, and you have seen small children, they give lots of the reasons that my stomach is aching, I don't want to go. Same way this child, this particular boy, he doesn't want to go to school, he wants to spend the whole day outside. Why? Because it was so warm, so bright. The birds were chirping at the edge of the woods, And in the open field back of the sawmill, the Prussian soldiers were drilling. So what is the scenario outside? Sun is bright, day is warm. You have the birds chirping at the edge of the woods. Woods means actually forest. So you could hear the birds chirping. He's very, very happy. And in the open field back of the sawmill is the place where they do the cutting of wood. There, the Prussian soldiers were drilling. They are not the France or French soldiers, they are the Prussian soldiers. This scenario, this incident itself tells that they are already being conquered by Prussians. It was all much more tempting than the rule for participles, but I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. Yes, a very strong-willed boy. All these temptations he was able to resist, and then he is hurrying towards the school. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. Today's world, we have this technology, we have computers, we have television, we have radio, we get the news. Now, example, the COVID-19 news. Now and then you have this news coming up, broadcasting on the television, on the radio, you get in your WhatsApp also. But in those days, all these things, technology was not there. So what is the only means of communicating with the people? It was bulletin board. In your town, you may have heard you have a town hall. And in that town hall, there is a big board placed where they display all these all these messages or news to be communicated to the people. So when I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. For the last 2 years, all our bad news had come from there. So what is he saying? He did not go to read what is there. He just saw a crowd in front of the bulletin board, and what he thought that till today, like last 2 years, we have got all bad news, the lost battles, the draft, the orders of the commanding officer. And I thought to myself, without stopping, he is not stopping over there, he is hurriedly running, he is going towards the school because he has to reach on time. What can be the matter now? See, he is running and the thought is also running in his mind, seeing the crowd, what bad news they have displayed today. But he doesn't have time to stop and go and have a look at the news or the bulletin board. He is hurrying towards the school. Okay? Then as I hurried by as fast as I could go, the blacksmith watcher who was there with his apprentice reading the bulletin called after me. Don't go so fast, Buck. You will get to your school in plenty of time. So one of the person, who is he? He's a what is he? He's a blacksmith. He sees that this particular boy is hurrying towards the school. He says, don't hurry, Bub. Bub is what? We approach a small child. Don't hurry, Bub. You have plenty of time to reach the school. I thought he was making fun of me and reached M. Hamel's little garden all out of breath. So when he said that particular sentence, this particular small boy, he thought maybe this fellow is making fun of me. Already I am late. Already I am not prepared. So it's the psychology of a child. He is already scared. He knows he is going to be late to school. He is going to get scolded from his teacher for being late, at the same time for not preparing for the test or for the question he is going to ask about participles. So he thought this fellow is making fun of me. Usually when school began, there was a great bustle which could be heard out in the street, the opening and closing of desks, lessons repeated in unison, very loud with our hands over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. It's a lengthy sentence, but you have commas where you have to use small pauses. So usually, let's not take his school, let's take your school. You have seen a school, when it's working, when you have children over there studying, it won't be quiet. But now if you go to a school, it looks like a haunted building, right? So what he says, when school began, there was a great bustle. Great bustle means what? Lots of activity going on, lots of noise going on. It's very noisy, which could be heard out in the street. It's quite obvious. Wherever there is school, we really get to, we did not, we don't require signboards over there. Normally at the roadside, we have signboards for the drivers, go slow. We do not require, because the noise coming from the school itself is enough to understand that yes, nearby there is a school. The opening and closing of desk. Now, your desks are fixed to the stand. In olden days, they were opening and, you could open on one side. Or you could open on one side, on either right side or left side or in front. So, opening and closing of desk was the sound coming. Lessons repeated in unison. Unison is what actually? At a time, different classes are going on in different classrooms, and you have experienced it. Many a times, it happens that you are in the class, the lesson is very interesting, but you are not able to listen to teacher. Why? Because there is noise disturbing from the other classes. So what do? You cover your ears. Why? So that you could hear your teacher properly. So that is what he is saying. Very loud with our hands over our ears to understand better. And the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. Nowadays, of course, it's not allowed for the teacher to have a ruler, but we have experience, even you can ask your parents or grandparents, they have experience, teacher was using a ruler. And that ruler was not only used to hit a child, but it was used to make the class quiet by rapping on the table. Okay, so in general, he is speaking that noise also was there along with the other noises. But better and yeah, but now it was also still. Why? Because now when we saw today, my classroom or the entire school is not having the great bustle which was normally heard. Today it is quiet. Okay? I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen. But of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Normally, we people or you people had never got the chance to bunk the classes, or you can say enter the class without noticing. But you can, if you ask your grandparents, they will tell their experience to them that in this noise, the child used to enter late in the class and quietly come and sit in his place. So that is what he had planned. Okay, anyhow, I am late to the class. I am not prepared for about the participants. I'll quietly, in this noise, I'll quietly go and sit in my place. But what he saw, it was not possible because that day, the school, the classroom was as quiet as on Sunday. Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their places, and M. Hamill walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler. If you see, before he has used teacher's great ruler, but here he is using as terrible iron ruler. Why? Because here the situation is different. In his class, the situation is going to be different. That particular ruler is going to be used to punish or punish the child who has not studied about participles. And first of all, he is also going to get by because he is late to school today. What he saw is his classmates are sitting quiet and teacher is taking a round with terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door, of course, no other option. He had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was. This is the common experience now. As a student, we all of us have experienced. Entire class is quiet. He is entering inside the class, and what he sees that he has to pass, he has to walk through all the students. Maybe few of his classmates are giggling, are laughing, and here he is blushing. Blushing in the sense he has become completely red with because of shame, or is ashamed of it, and he is at the same time frightened. Why? Because now what comes next? I don't know. I am late. I am not prepared, and now sir is going to start his scolding or he is going to start giving me punishment. But nothing happened. Oh. M. Hamill saw me and said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz." Here we come to know the boy's name. His name is Franz. "We were beginning without you." And to his surprise, today teacher is very quiet. Teacher is not scolding him for being late. Teacher is not scolding him for not doing the participant. He will come to know now. But teacher is quiet. He is not scolding. He is telling that you go to your place quickly because we were about to start our lesson without you. I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. Obediently, he quickly went to his bench and he sat there. After what he said, not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap, all embroidered, that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. Of course, your teachers may be coming well dressed every day, but if you ask your grandparents or if you ask your parents, they will be telling their experience that, especially on inspection day, when the education inspectors to come to or visit the school, that day the entire scenario was different. So even here, what he saw when he came to his place, he was sitting quietly over there. After his fright, after his fear calmed down, he saw at his teacher. His teacher was dressed in a very different way. In what way? The dress which he always used to wear during the inspection day and prize distribution days. Okay? Besides, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. When he saw the entire, he felt the entire school is deeply serious. Solemn is what? Deeply serious. But the thing that surprised me most was to see on the back benches that were always empty, the village people sitting quietly like ourselves. Why back benches are empty? Normally, broken benches are kept over there. Or in this school, if you see, in those days, parents were not allowing their children to go to school. You can ask your grandparents. Even they were not allowed to go to school. Okay, it's your wish. So backside benches will always be empty. So what he saw on that day is entire school atmosphere is quiet, and at the back side empty benches are not empty today, they are filled. Who are sitting over there? Old Hosser with his three-cornered hat of the former mayor, the former postmaster and several others beside. All the old people of the village, they were sitting at the back benches, at the back empty benches on that day. Now, one by one, all surprising things are coming up to me. Everybody looked sad. All those people, all those old people sitting at the back benches, all of them, they looked very, very sad. And Hauser had brought an old primer, thumbed at the edges. Primer, if you remember, if you have, I don't know how many of you have the habit of preserving your books. That I think last year, so many of you told we have still have our toys and books, all these things. Some people they preserve. So this particular fellow, Hauser, had brought old primer. Primer is what? The basic book, or this elementary book where you study A for apple, B for bat. That book he had brought over there, thumbed at the edges. The book was thumbed at the edges means what actually you can say? It was worn out or soiled at the edges. And when a book gets soiled at the edges, when we use it frequently, when we use it for a long time, right? So this book was thumbed at the edges and he held it open on his knee. Of course, he's not having a desk over there, it's just a bench over there. He kept that book on his knee with his great spectacles laying across the pages. So how does it seem? The entire classroom is quiet. Teacher is also quiet, but teacher is well dressed today, the way he used to dress for the inspection day and the prize days. Children also are quiet, and at the back benches there are old people sitting over there. One of the fellows he has brought the old primer. While I was wondering about it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair. Mounted his chair means he sat on his chair. And in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you." Just imagine, you are in the class and one day one teacher comes and one day the teacher says that, "My dear children, this is my last lesson in the class." What will be your reaction? Okay, let's see. The order has come from Berlin. Now, where is Berlin? Berlin is the capital of Germany. If you see in the past, from 1518 to 1945, it was the capital. And again, now even present, Berlin is the capital of Germany. From there, order had come to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive. Very, very touching line. Of course, the teacher also is very, very sad and he's saying that this is your last French lesson. Why? Because tomorrow onwards, order has come that in all the schools in Alsace and Lorraine, only German should be taught to the children. It is like you are in a state, you speak Gujarati, you speak Punjabi, and in your school you have teachers teaching you in Punjabi or Gujarati or Marwadi, or you can say Bengali, and suddenly, of course, it happened. Even India has experienced this. It happened that suddenly a person from outside, he comes and he starts teaching the students English, or he starts communicating in English. I need not tell you what is the situation. Of course, you will not realize it, but we know it, and our forefathers, our fathers, our parents know it, what had happened. They were forced to speak, to learn German, which is not their language, which is a foreign language, which is a conqueror's language. Okay. So again I repeat this dialogue of M. Hamel. My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive. Don't you think when the teacher says this is your last French lesson and I want you to be very attentive, do you think children will be looking outside here and there and talking and making noise? No. They will also realize that yes, today is the last day where we are going to learn our own language. Okay? What a thunderclap these words were to me. Thunderclap? Unexpected. Because he did not spend time staying or watching or reading the bulletin board, what is there on it. He just hurriedly came to the school. He doesn't know what is the order. Here he comes to know to his teacher that what is the order? From tomorrow onwards, German has to be taught to the schools or the students in the schools in Alsace and Lorraine. Oh, the wretches. Here, wretches is not unfortunate thing. Oh, the wretches. That was what they had put up at the town hall. Here he comes to know what was the order from Berlin. My last French lesson. It's a very, very touching line. I always tell you, literature is not just to read the story and write the answers or score good marks. It is the subject where you can know, you can understand, be empathetic towards the people, towards the feelings of the people over there. You had Annie Frank in 10th standard. Or if you don't have it, you can just go through the book. Online books are available. Read the story and you will understand the same situation. Of course, we are better. During lockdown, we are better than what she had gone through. So literature, even here, as I am reading, I want you to feel how they felt. Okay. My last French lesson. Why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn any more. I must stop there then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs, or going sliding on the Saar. Saar is the river flowing in France and Germany. My books, that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the saints, were all old friends now that I couldn't give up. And M. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. This I want you to feel, okay, whatever your mother tongue is. Right? Today, the scenario is we are forgetting our mother tongue. And as I've already told you, within this 25 years, if you don't preserve your mother tongue, it's going to die one day. Of course, we should not have chauvinism towards our nation or towards our religion, towards our community, towards our language. But still, the language which you are learning or the language which you are speaking, the language which kept your forefathers or your dynasty together, that should not die, my dears. Speak your language in the house. Though you have English, though we communicate in English, your language also should be preserved, and of course, English also should be learned. I'll once again read it. My last French lesson. Let's take your mother tongue. My last Malayalam lesson or my last Kannada lesson, whatever it is. Why? I hardly knew how to write. Whether you know to write in your own mother tongue? Simple question. Why I hardly knew how to write? Yes, you may be well versed in English. What about your mother tongue? Do you know to write about do you know the scripts or do you know to read in your mother tongue? I should never learn anymore. In our case, when this will happen, I should never learn anymore. When this will happen? When the people around us, those who know this language, are no more, we will not have any means to know or to learn our mother tongue. So I always tell you, if you have your grandparents around you, don't speak with them in English. Speak in your mother tongue. Learn the language. Speak the language without even uttering a single English word. Respect English, respect your mother tongue also. Can't we try it? Yes. So, I must stop there then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons. For seeking birds' eggs. This you can ask your grandfather or your grandmother who went to school. They were never in the class for the whole day. They were out of the class, same thing, going and flicking mangoes from the trees or playing with their friends and then rarely going to school. And they were not forced like you people or like us to go to school in such a way. So, for seeking bird's egg or going sliding on the Saar, as I told you, Saar is the river flowing in France and Germany. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, the books, the French books which he used to carry every day to the school, that were burden for him, they were very, very heavy for him. But now, when he got the news that he's not going to, no more, he's going to use those French books, he felt very, very sad for that. He's regretting for that, for not opening the book or for not reading the lessons what he was supposed to do, what he was supposed to read. So heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the saints were all old friends now that I couldn't give up. Of course, the history of your state, the history of your region, the history of your language, the history of your saints, it gives a feeling of pride in us. History is not just to give us no feeling of pride, but we learn from the mistakes what they have done in the past. They have done this mistake, I should not do it. We learn from the past. So when he knew that I am not going to read grammar, French grammar, he is going to learn now German grammar. What's the use? He is not attached because at home he is not speaking with his mother in German, he is speaking in French. So I am not going to have that exact or correct knowledge, standard knowledge about my language. I am not going to learn about the saints. I am going to learn about the saints of some other country or some other place. How do you feel? It's not, no, he is regretting for that. And M. Hamel too, the idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. Let's take example of your 10 years in school. You were 10 years in a school, and what happens, what feeling comes in your mind when it's time to say farewell, or you can say bye-bye to the entire school or your friends? In your own class, you see, with your own classmates, you may be fighting, you may be quarreling, you may be having grudges, you may be having jealous. Lots of things happens in the class, but when the time comes that yes, tomorrow, okay, headmaster or the principal announces on so and so date you have the farewell party. What is your situation? Same thing happened over here. The teacher, till then he was a cranky teacher. He is calling that terrible iron ruler, all these things. He felt really, I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss that teacher, and he's having a soft corner towards his teacher. As I told you, this lesson tells about what actually? About the attitude of a child or a teacher towards teaching, learning also, and towards each other also, you can say. Poor man. It was in honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes, and now I understood why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. Now he understood why Sir is wearing today the rare uniform, or you can say the rare dress which he only wears on inspection day and the prize distribution days, why he is wearing on that particular day, and why the people, old people, villagers have come and sat at the empty benches back. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. Even they are regretting. France is just a small boy, but those old people at the back benches, they are regretting that we never tried to learn French. Of course, no, spoken French and written French, it has lots of difference. Literature, French literature, having a knowledge about your own language into depth, it makes a lot of difference. So what are we regretting? That we never went to school, we never even tried to open the primer and read our own language. We don't know to write, we don't know to read. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. It was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful service and of showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. Not only towards the teacher who has served the particular school for 40 years, faithfully has served, the old people are even now giving respect to the country. Why? Because now it's not their country. It's a conquered country by the Germans, by the Prussians. They'll be coming and they'll be ruling them. That is what, no, you should understand the feeling of the boy, feeling of the teacher, feeling of the villagers at the backbenches. So today we'll just stop over here. In the next class we'll continue. Till then, thank you. I want you to read the entire chapter, not the entire, okay, if you are interested you can read the entire chapter, but how much we have finished till then, read it. If you have any doubts you can ask. Okay, thank you.